Yep.
So, Tiffany, what originally drew you to Common Good Atlanta and what keeps you committed to its mission?
What originally drew me to Common Good Atlanta is knowing some of the people who were alum of Common Good Atlanta once they returned home. I think that was the first exposure I had to Common Good, was working with some of the individuals and just seeing their passion around education and this, reentry journey. And I saw this parallel with all of them, that they were, leaders and, very passionate about helping other people. And so that was kind of my first exposure to Common Good, was just learning more about some of the alumni who again I engaged with. Another piece of it was seeing Professor Kipton. I always saw Kipton Jensen at Metro Reentry Facility, and he just had this passion about him when he was walking through those the courtyard, and when we'd see each other in passing, we'd always stop, and it was just this commonality we had with really wanting to help impact the people at that facility, and so. That's what attracted me. And then the opportunity to become executive director, it just seemed like a natural fit. I had been working in the space of reentry support for many years, since back in 2006 when I was doing financial education in a women's prison. And it just seemed like this was a great fit to be able to impact education. I know how much my higher education meant to me, and someone exposing me to something I didn't think I'd be able to take advantage of as a young teen mom. And so I know what it feels like to think this might not ever work out for me, or I may not be suitable for higher education, and for someone to say this is for you. And I think that's what Common Good does for people that are inside of our facilities.
So, how has CGA evolved since its founding, and what are some of the biggest milestones or challenges the organization has faced?
Although I have not been on the journey since Common Good has been founded back in 2008, I have learned quite a bit about the phases of growth that Common Good has gone through. And I would say that the growth has been from just, one facility and one individual, Sarah Higginbotham, to a co-founder, and that small kind of starting point growing into more facilities and more college relationships, and more faculty joining forces and being able to deliver in a broader way. And then eventually moving into also transitional centers, so that people don't stop when they come home, but they're able to continue once they're in a transitional center. And community classes, which have been on pause for now, but those will come back in the future as well. So to see that growth, or to kind of just know that that has been the journey of Common Good Atlanta, is exciting, and to know that it doesn't stop there. We have reentry support that we're talking about in the near future, being a part of, and hopefully broadening what we're delivering inside the current facilities and new facilities in the future.
In your view, what makes CGA's approach to education unique and impactful?
In my view, the approach of Common Good's kind of model, um, the uniqueness of the Common Good model is that we have perspectives from faculty across many different colleges. Them bringing those perspectives inside of the facility, I think, is what makes it unique, because a professor from UGA versus Georgia State can be varying delivery methods and styles. It can be a different way that they deliver the Clemente programming. And I think that's what makes it unique. And it's just the individuals in and of themselves are unique. And I think that, we each have different characteristics. All of our faculty come with different sets of experiences and come from different regions and geographies. And I think that makes it a very rich experience. I think also the Clemente coursework in general, I think, is unique. People being able to get exposed to courses that they may have never received in high school, may never have taken in a general community setting, because it may not have been a topic that they were interested in. It didn't, correlate to maybe another goal that they had. And so I think just the humanities coursework in general is unique, especially for the demographic that we're serving, people who are incarcerated.
How do you measure success at CGA, both at the individual student level and as an organization?
So the measurement of success is one of those questions I think that I receive and other staff members, board members receive on a pretty regular basis. And I think the success is in the testimonies of the students that we serve, I think, more than anything. We hear words like Common Good Atlanta made me feel human again. It restored my dignity. It helped me to understand how I fit into the rest of the world, and helped me to understand that. I even heard at one class that someone said, I now understand the role I played in some of the issues I faced prior to prison. And so I think that for the students, it's a gain in knowledge first and foremost. You're learning some very critical skills like writing and how to compose a work of art or paper, a term paper, or learning how to engage in meaningful conversations and dialogue, and um, learning how to maybe even debate a little bit in your classes. And I think that that's part of the student gains. You're also getting some accredited coursework when you return home that you may be able to apply. And so I think those are the student gains. Um, and we're going to go back to the question about the operations because I forgot what the beginning was.
Um, I'm not sure what question you mean there, but the question was, how do you measure success as an organization?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And how we measure success as an organization, if we're thinking like operations, year over year, being able to continue to grow funding so that we can support the programs, making sure that our staff and faculty are supported and that they have the tools that they need to succeed. And then also, I think success is also measured by the number of students that we're serving, the number of hours that we're spending inside of the classrooms, and the support that we're granting to our alumni when they return home. Those are all things that can be tracked and measured, but it still goes back to real testimonies from the people that we impact the most, which are our scholars, our students. So hearing from them and learning of their personal gains is a way that we measure our success.
What are some of the most exciting developments or new initiatives CGA is working on right now?
One of the most exciting new developments I would start with is that we are now inside of the Federal Correctional Institution, delivering programming that's going very well. That's an exciting relationship. And again, out of our 5, that's the newest facility that we're in. Another exciting development is that we are beginning to venture into reentry support with a new Bureau of Justice grant that we received. We are going to be able to hire a full-time reentry coordinator that will be able to begin some case management for students in particular facilities to gain some insight to what they'll need when they return home. It's really important, and we feel that it's very important that we start to collect some of that information and help to create some plans for individuals, help them to create their own plans based on who they understand themselves to be at this stage prior to release. And so with that person in place, we'll be able to impact more and hopefully help them to move into some new education goals that they have for themselves, whether that be transferring credits to an educational institution or employment. Those are the 2 main E's that we will focus on with that BJA grant. And we'll be able to measure some pretty hopefully hefty outcomes that come out of that BJA grant funding. So we're really excited that we'll be able to make a bigger impact in that space. And the other things are just having a fresh set of eyes that has such a great team to build with, to start to think of our strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years. I'm excited to really be creative and innovative in how we want Common Good to grow. And, how do we define what is success for this next 3-year period, 5-year period? That's exciting.
You anticipated this next one a little bit, but you might want to add, how do you see CGA expanding or evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
In the next 5 to 10 years, I see let me start over. In the next 5 to 10 years, I see CGA expanding, one, within the facilities where we exist, delivering possibly new content within that humanities coursework. A couple of examples that have actually happened in the last year or so was an acting class that took place at Burris facility. We had an art class at the Whitworth Women's facility, and I see us potentially bringing even more coursework into those facilities that are new and exciting, and maybe even delivering some of the courses that are popular at facilities that have not received those types of courses. And so maybe mixing up some of the coursework in that way. We would love to do some Spanish-led instruction at the FCI, where over half of the residents are Spanish speaking. So I think that would be a way that we would grow and broaden our scope. And then, we also have the plan to deliver in new facilities. This is not one that we want to grow too quickly, because, we want to make sure that the facilities where our relationships currently exist are being served in the near future. But we do see in the next 2 maybe years or so, 1 to 2 years even, that we would like to pick up and begin partnerships with some of the new correction facilities across the state of Georgia. So, those are exciting areas for growth for us, and where we see our growth taking place.
What role or roles do alumni play in shaping CGA's programming and future direction?
Alumni play, I would say, a fundamental role in shaping the direction of our future at Common Good Atlanta. Alumni are people who have the lived experiences that a board member may not have, a staff member may not have. And some of our staff and board members do have that lived experience because they have been through Common Good Atlanta or have been incarcerated. It's always important for us to stay true to our mission, that we include alumni in the planning, in the decision making, in new maybe policies that we plan to adopt, new curriculum we may want to deliver. It's important that we get their input and that they feel that it will be a good fit for Common Good, because again, they've experienced the program firsthand. So we're always going to have somebody who is an alumni in a board seat, maybe multiple. At this time, I think we've got 3 board members that are alumni of Common Good Atlanta. And we would love for them to come back as volunteers to reach back to other alumni who are coming home, maybe meeting them for the first time when they return home and reintroducing them to the Common Good community. So it's extremely important that they stay engaged and that we keep them engaged with Common Good Atlanta.
Thank you very much for that.
Yes.
How does CGA collaborate with universities, community partners, or policymakers to further its mission?
Common Good Atlanta could not do its work without strong partnerships with the universities, primarily, the correctional facilities, obviously, and then one that we're doing more so now than we've ever done before with community organizations. We have to make sure that the universities in Common Good Atlanta are in regular communication. So again, we can understand what content or curriculum that the faculty plan to deliver, making sure that we have the resources to provide them so that they can do their job well. And making sure that they are aware of any changes that Common Good Atlanta is going through that may or may not impact them. We're doing more in the next year or so of engagement with in-person activities to make sure that our universities and our community members are aware of who we are and that we can be in the same physical space together more often. The community partners, I think, are going to be more important again than ever for Common Good Atlanta in the coming year to 2 years with our reentry work. We are not a one-stop shop when it comes to the reentry support. We will not be that. Our mission is still education. It's going to be more employment as well, but we have to lean on partners that have the phase 1 supportive services like housing and mental health support and SNAP benefits potentially, or someone getting an ID or a driver's license or social security number or card. That's going to be important for us to lean on those partners to be able to help to get the bridge or the gap filled for individuals when they come home. So it's just important that we keep the communication between all partners open, that people know that we have an open door policy for any feedback, any needs that need to be met. This is definitely a group effort, a collaborative effort to deliver our mission.
For those who want to support CGA, whether as volunteers, donors, or advocates, what are the most meaningful ways they can get involved?
The most meaningful way to get involved with Common Good Atlanta, I would start with, is just staying in communication with us, subscribing to our newsletter. I mean, it's something that small so that you can be, looped into what's happening both inside of our facilities as well as in our community programming with different staff and faculty who are doing great work um, in the Atlanta community. So I think that's one way, is just staying in touch with us. Another way, dollars never hurt. We're never gonna, I think, be at a place where we turn away money. So we are always accepting donations and looking for ways that you can lend financial support or lending. Let me start over. We are always seeking funding. This program cannot run without financial support. This is not work that is cheap. We want to make sure that we are paying fair salaries and honorariums for the individuals doing the work. And we've got other operations that need to be supported. So I think financial support is another way, and just sharing opportunities that we can share with our alumni or that we can share with our scholars prior to release. That could be employment opportunities, that could be other educational opportunities, scholarships for people that do want to take those accredited courses and apply them to higher education. There's going to be a financial gap potentially for them. So, scholarship programs or any type of free training and education programs that people can enroll in when they return from incarceration would be very beneficial for us. Laptops, we need technology to learn, we need technology to earn. And so technology support or donations to help us to share those types of resources with our alumni, as well as those that are currently incarcerated, if they have access to be able to have technology. So that would be support. But we're open. Email us. Your ideas may be one that we haven't thought of. So we're always open to suggestions, recommendations.
And finally, what gives you hope for the future of educational access for incarcerated and formerly incarcerated individuals?
What gives me hope for the future for incarcerated and formerly incarcerated individuals in the area of education is that education will always be led by people, and the people that have a heart for this work, I think will always have a heart for this work. And despite what happens in politics, despite what happens in this world that we're in right now, there will always be people with heart that believe in the mission of access to higher education for people who have been impacted by the criminal, legal, or criminal justice system. And so I have hope that those individuals will stay vested in this work, and that even without all of the dollars that maybe we received at one point, that we can still get this work done. It takes a village, again, for us to get this work done. But I have hope that will always be a value of Americans, of people across the world. Education is power, knowledge is power. And when we allow another person to have access to education, that's going to strengthen our communities, that's going to strengthen the family unit when they come home. And so I think that most people understand that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, I have hope that we all understand that that is a common value that really makes the world a stronger place and a better place for us to all be in together.
That's the last question.
Okay.